Eve, can we just clarify what was said at the end of the break and at the end of the last section? And that was that you're saying that abortion heightens the likelihood that a person will get breast cancer. We're not saying that everybody that has breast cancer has had an abortion, are we?
Absolutely not. Neither are we saying that every woman who has an abortion will develop breast cancer. But there is a 5% possibility. Now, that doesn't sound like much, but we're talking about out of 280,000, we're talking about 10,000 women. That's a lot of women. And
that's 50 women, isn't it?
Exactly. And this is a factor that can be controlled. If you don't have abortion, this is a factor that you can limit. If I had not had, here's something else. Dr. Mary Claire King first characterized the link of the BRCA1 breast cancer gene. And one of the things that she has taught us is that if women have a full-term pregnancy, they carry their babies to term, and they breastfeed, women with that gene would have the same, their risk factor goes down, and they have the same risk factor as other women. And that meant if I had carried my first baby to term, it's very likely that I have that gene, just because my family history is just so, you know, riddled with breast cancer. But if I had had my first child and carried the baby to term and breastfed, I may possibly have brought my level down to every other woman and not been in the same risk group.
So is what you're saying is that because your family, you obviously had a hereditary likelihood that you were going to get breast cancer.
Yes.
If you had known that an abortion would heighten that even more, you wouldn't have had the abortion.
Yeah, I would have considered all the factors and said, well, maybe it's more of a risk than I was willing to take. Okay. I was just trying to clear up my present problem. I didn't realize it was going to have this far-reaching effect into my life.
Okay, it is questionable, not questionable, it's debated about the link between abortion and breast cancer. You know, give us a bit of the technical. How do you know for sure that there is a link?
I'm a medical research analyst with Clear Research, and that link is a physiological, there is a physiological pathway between abortion and breast cancer. That's the information that's not getting out to women. It's important for women to know the way the breast develops. It's very clear that as the breast develops, there is a point before which, if you have an abortion before 32 weeks of pregnancy, your breasts are at greater risk of breast cancer, because at 32 weeks, the lobules inside of the breast, you know, breasts are lumpy. Even though on the outside they look very pretty, on the inside they're very lumpy. And the fact is that the change at 32 weeks is that the lobules that are inside the breast, which increase with pregnancy, many more lobules are produced, but they convert from types 1 and 2, which are very prone to breast cancer, to the more protected type 3 and 4, which are the milk-producing lobules. And when the breast converts like that at 32 weeks, a woman's breast risk goes down. But if she has an abortion before 32 weeks, she's increased all these lobules because estrogen makes those lobules grow into the breast tissue. That's the way the breast works. And people say, well, estrogen is a carcinogen. It is. That's what the World Health Organization recently released information saying it is carcinogenic, estrogen is carcinogenic, and that there are concerns about introducing estrogen in the form of a pill at the first part of a woman's reproductive history, and in HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy, at the end of a woman's reproductive history. It's very bad because we are susceptible to our own hormones. Right. Introducing more hormones makes things worse.
Okay, could I clarify the increase? Sure. Because I read a study in 1994, the Journal of the National Cancer Institute, there was a 50% increase in the risk of breast cancer amongst women who had chosen abortion, and if it was a girl prior to the age of 18, it was a 100% increase.
That's correct.
Now, earlier you said 5%.
Overall, we're talking about women who have not got breast cancer.
Oh, not got breast cancer.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we are saying that, I mean, 50% and 100% for girls under 18 or after age 30, huge increase.
Change. 270% increase if a woman is over 30 and has an abortion with a family history. I mean, it's just continually goes up and up and up. And that those risk increases have been well documented in a study by Dr. Janet Daling in 1994, who happens not to be she's not pro-life. So people are saying, you know, this is a pro-life, pro-choice issue. It has nothing to do with it. It's a physiological truth.
Okay, if I was to go swimming and there were sharks in the water, I would be expected to be told that there are sharks in the water, and I'd especially expect men to tell me. My question is, why aren't women shouting from the rooftops to women that this is happening? I think
there are several reasons that I think it's happening. One is there's an agenda, and it's worldwide. National Cancer Institute didn't release the known findings about smoking and lung cancer for 50 years. They had 50 years of information and never released that information because it was not economically expedient. It's the same situation now, but I'm not willing for women to die over this problem. Also, I think that abortion has become sort of a women's rights issue, but I believe you cannot have rights without knowing what women's health is. I mean, women's health should overtake anything else. It's the first right.
Okay, so we are saying that this is a physiological link, aren't we?
Yes, it is.
It can't be refuted. There's physical evidence.
It's the way that it's the way the breast works. If we leave the breast alone, it will work in its natural. Pregnancy is a natural occurring process in a woman's life and makes a difference because it protects women. Look, women who do not ever become pregnant have a higher incidence of breast cancer, and that applies to nuns, women who are lesbians, women who choose never to marry. I mean, it's just, we have the data that tells us that these things are so. It is our own exposure to our own estrogens that's problematic.
Okay, I didn't give a lot of detail about your introduction because I didn't want to distract from what you were saying, but you are a science editor, you're a member of the American Medical Writers Association, you're part of the National Cancer Institute. Surely these groups should be speaking up the honesty.
They don't want to talk about it, and even good researchers are worried and nervous about speaking about it because money is tied, their research dollars are tied into their comments. If they say there is if they recognize the physiological pathway, but how is it that we should not recognize something that is natural in the body, a process in the body, and people are not releasing this information? Newspapers will not, you know, the gatekeepers at the newspapers, at the media, and so on, will not allow this information to be spoken about. And the studies that are currently being touted as the most important studies have been already, they've been exposed. Dr. Angela Lanfranchi in the Journal of Ethics in Medics, she wrote 2 very fine articles exposing the latest research from Denmark that said that, you know, there is no link between abortion and breast cancer. And Dr. Edward Furton, the editor of that journal, said that he slammed the media for saying that abortion is a safe procedure. I'm telling you that it's not.
So the ideology is getting in the way of the research.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the problem.
Just finally, we're just about out of time. Why are you now speaking up about it? I mean, are you saying, hey, I'm a living testimony to the link between abortion and breast cancer?
It's not easy to talk about something that's so personal. It's a little like taking your clothes off in front of everyone. But I was horrified by the fact that large organizations, what I call pink money organizations, the cancer funding organizations, the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation and others, especially the Susan G. Komen Foundation was funding Planned Parenthood, $245,000
Which is
in
our
2003.
Family Planning Association. Yep.
Exactly. It's the same as your Family Planning Association. These organizations are holding hands, and that should not be.
And they won't tell the truth.
They won't tell the truth, and someone had to step out and say, I want to speak directly to the people at home and say, there is a link between abortion and breast cancer. It's up to you and I to spread the word because the media and the governments in different countries do not want that information to get out.